Sunday we had our game against the Pistons, and that was without Embiid. And so we beat the Pistons, and we're playing them again tonight. So it's Detroit time. So 2-1 without Embiid in the last 3 games. And on Sunday, James Harden scored over 24,000 points for his career, putting him 27th all time. Now, Eric, I know you don't like to talk about these all-time type rankings and stuff, but Harden was put into the NBA 75 last year, which is obviously an incredible accomplishment within itself. But do you think a ring would put him in the top 25 for a top 50 conversation all-time player?
I mean, I don't see. That's tough for me because it's like, one, a lot of those guys that are up there do have rings. And I'll give you.
I did some. You want to hear some names? I did the research.
I'll give you some scenarios, and this is that's why Steph Curry is my scenario.
Okay.
Do you think Steph Curry is better than James Harden? Do y'all think that?
Yeah, I do.
Teja, career-wise, who you think will go down with people saying is the best in their career?
I mean, people are gonna say the guy who won all the rings. Are you taking rings out of it?
I'm saying, no. Tell me who you think is the better player. Who do you think is the better player?
I think Curry's a better shooter, but I think Harden's a better player.
So if you were drafting people right now, you would take Harden over Curry?
Right now, I would take Curry.
Okay. So
because it comes down to what you value more.
So that's what I'm saying. So now most of these people that are doing these rankings, who do you think they would rank first? Ahead of Curry, right?
Yeah.
Curry, easily.
Yes.
Curry has. So if someone comes along, younger kids has never seen either one of those guys play some 30, 40 years from now, right now, and I'll add Russell Westbrook in this too. That's why Steph that's why I always say you can't necessarily go by numbers. You have to kind of watch and see it and see how things go, because James and Russell Westbrook has more points, rebounds, and assists than Steph Curry.
Yeah.
In their career.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
A lot of people do not know that.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, especially the points.
The points is what surprises me. The other stuff doesn't surprise me.
Oh yeah, points. It's the points. I don't even think it's close.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't even think what James, you said is 27. I'll be surprised if Steph is top 40. You have to look it up. I know one time that I looked, he had just cracked like 50.
All right, I'm doing it right now.
That was maybe last year.
Wow. And what's the age? What's the age difference between the two of them? How many more years did?
A year or so.
Oh, wow.
I know. They've all missed their share of games. I mean, Russ missed us almost a season, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I just say, like,
Curry is NBA 43rd.
43.
He is just under for about 3,200 points less. A lot's a lot.
And he's not young.
Dude, Chris Paul. I mean, yeah, Chris Paul's in the league.
Chris has more points and assists, not rebounds.
Yeah, Chris has more points than Curry. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just think that's why I don't get into all of these rankings, because it's like you got people to look at stats and be like, no, he should be, well, this is this stat. He did this. Steph Curry is my guy that just kind of nudges all that away.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't look at that's my example of why you can't just look at stats.
Because I think it also comes down to specialties too, right? Curry is the best at what he does best. And maybe the best of all time at what he does best, right?
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. Like
Harden's not the best at any of the things he does well.
But people look at a guy that, and I've had a guy that a huge Steph Curry fan, and I play devil's advocate, and I'm saying, well, what makes him, the top point guard? Like, what makes him one of the top point guards? And he was like, I said, well, what is he the top of? I said, because you guys are confusing me. When we say another guy's great because they won, they say, well, why does winning matter? But then Steph Curry is in there majority of times because he wins.
Mm-hmm.
If Steph didn't win championships, he'd be the same guy, and people wouldn't look at him the same.
Yeah. He'd be in the Harden category.
If they would. So that's what I'm saying. So you can't tell me winning doesn't matter.
It definitely does.
And his ability to because making. Here's what I said to him. He was like, well, he's the best shooter of all time, this and that. I said, well, if a guy has more points and the guy's the best shooter in the world and he made the most threes in the world and another guy has more points, what's the difference? That guy got more points. Doesn't matter how they got him.
Mm-hmm.
He has more points and he has less, but he shoots a great three.
Well, that's why the ring argument becomes into play with these kind of conversations.
So that's why I don't want people to tell me that winning doesn't matter. The eyeball doesn't matter. It's just stats.
Definitely does.
Steph Curry is that. He's the ring, the eyeball. You got to watch him, and you can't watch him and be like, nah, they better than him. If you watch him, you think that. But if you go look at just stats, you're going to be like, well, how?
So right away, when I was looking at this, I got rid of the whole guys who have rings because when you're close to another guy and he has a ring and you don't, he's going to nudge you out. If you're close to him in stats, he'll nudge you out. That's my personal opinion and how I usually see it. So I started looking at guys on the top 50 lists. I think ESPN, Complex, Bleacher Report, a bunch of them. I separated the guys that they named that didn't have rings.
Yeah.
In the top 50. Those are the guys that I'm like, okay, who is Harden passing out of these guys, right? Those are the kind of guys I look for. So you got, I named them all. So Stockton, Nash, Westbrook, Pistol Pete, Chris Paul, Carmelo, McGrady. Baylor was weird. So Baylor didn't play on the team that won, but he played earlier in the season for them. So technically no, but they list him kind of like a maybe. Ewing, Gervin, Reggie Miller, Barkley, Karl Malone, Iverson, and Adrian Dantley. Those are the guys that were named on the 3 or 4 top 50 lists that I saw that did not have rings. So then you start comparing just stats to Harden stats, is what I would say to do. And if that's the case, if he keeps playing this way, yeah, I think Harden deserves to be in the top 50, at least top 50.
I don't know, man. I just think it's tough to look at different eras. That's why I don't get into it. It's just different eras, different times.
Yeah.
Because and maybe I'm biased, but it's hard for me to say a guy had more impact on the game and dominated the game from the 2 guard position more than AI if you aren't named Kobe and Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, maybe I'm biased. I've had people tell me that Dwayne Wade was better than AI. I don't really agree with that, but I don't even know if Dwayne Wade does agree with that because I know how D Wade feels about AI. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's why we're number 3. You know
Wade,
what I'm saying?
but Wade has the ring argument.
Yes. Well, yeah, 3 of them. I mean, that's eliminates it. Yeah. And he got one. He was MVP. He played well.
Yep.
So, but Jerry West, where is he in this? See, we don't know because we didn't watch him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So how we just throw everybody in front of him then? We don't know.
Mm.
But I think in a way,
where's Clyde Drexler in this? You trying to tell me Clyde Drexler wasn't as good as Dwayne Wade? Or is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, and he hopped on a winning team in the end. I mean, yeah. Yeah, and some of the guys that even did get rings, they hopped on like championship teams that were already probably going to win anyway, right? Like
was he still Clyde Drexler before he won a ring?
Gary Payton, for instance, that's a good example. He won with the Miami Heat in like what, 2000 something?
The same year, yeah.
Yeah. Same team, same away team. I think he was just back.
But he's still the first ballot Hall of Fame, top 75 player too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think they said Peyton's one of the few guys that's like top something at like top high tops and points and assists.
Yes.
And a badass defender.
People never really bring up his name ever.
No, he gets drafted a lot, actually.
Yeah. Like he's not even a top 10, which is crazy to me. All these guys they mentioned, I've seen him play against all those guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like he's gotten more traction lately. It's weird how guys haven't played in so long. Then all of a sudden you start to see them get a little more appreciated out of nowhere, right? Because I used to look at lists. I look at this stuff all the time periodically. And I'd say like 5 years ago, AI wasn't cracking like top 50 on like all these publication lists. But now he's like top, you look at the list now, he's like top 30, 35 on many people's lists.
Because a lot of these people that are voting now or having things to say are the younger people that was watching him play.
Sure. Yeah, they had more of an appreciation for it.
They have more of appreciation for him.
Where the guys that were voting it in right after you retired were the haters he had during his tenure.
The people that didn't like him or didn't see him differently, kind of like, he didn't do this and that, because the whole thing was like, you didn't win the championship, you were this, and you were bad off the court. So it felt like I don't have anything to do with this.
Yeah.
My favorite, Kobe's better. Well, that doesn't mean he's bad.
Exactly.
What happened to this whole
because somebody's better don't make you bad.
Yeah, we were talking about how like the guy, someone for the Bleav network. I forgot who it was. We were talking about Marcus. Who was it? Pac-Man. I was like, why is he talking Mahomes? Because he likes Burrow. I was like, why can't two guys be good? Yeah. Why do you have to dog Mahomes? Like Burrow?
That's what this whole like with LeBron and MJ and all these other like. You can't say LeBron is good without somebody saying MJ's better. Like what? Like
you can't.
That's not what I was talking about.
Yeah, I know, man. I know. It's
why can't they both just be excellent? That's it.
Yeah.
You guys are younger than me. This whole ranking generation, they messed y'all all up, man. With all these
I'd say that the original top 50 list came out in the 90s, though. They didn't rank the players, but
that's the difference. They didn't rank them.
They didn't rank them, but they said these guys are a step above, right? So
top 75, and it was maybe only, from what I heard, it was probably 4 or 5 guys that were like should have got in. It wasn't like a big list of people that should have got in.
Oh, that weren't in, you mean?
Yes, that weren't in. Mm-hmm. Dominique Wilkins come to mind. A guy like Alice English who didn't even get in top 75.
True. He was on when they did the top 50.
He was on the verge of the top 50. Yeah.
I know. It's weird, right? It's weird.
So, even with the top 75, it's like, how many people were there that people were like, man, he should have got in? Less than 10
I can make an argument. I think we talked about this like last year. Dwight Howard was one of those guys.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but it was less than 10 people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That list isn't really big for people you feel, whoever you felt got shafted. Like, it's not a really big list. I mean, for the most part, it's accurate. It's just, the older guys that no one, like our age or whatever, seen play. It's just hard to have a guy like him on there, and maybe he averaged 14, 15 points, and then you have another guy, like you say, Dwight Howard, that averaged 20 and 15.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I said the times is just so different. So as far as James, top 50, I mean, I guess he has an argument. He has an argument. And I think it's just depends on who's picking, who's voting, who's picking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They like him, whether they like his style, whether they, think that what he does is effective and good basketball.
He has helped change the game. That's another little thing on his record too.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was for the better or the worse.
Yeah, not only that's another thing. Like, I don't really get into someone changed the game. Like, you didn't necessarily change the game. Like, even with Steph, they say he changed the game. Like, the game is still played, it's still basketball. I mean, people take 3-point shots and shoot them from deep. Like, that ain't like it's still teams that don't play that way. Like, it's a few guys that shoot from deep. Like, it's not the whole league shooting from.
He changed the emphasis then.
No, because people were Gilbert Arenas did that when I played against him. He was shooting that deep.
He was.
Yeah, that's true.
Flashy, man.
Mahmoud did it. Like, I mean, guys were, it was done, but it was considered a bad shot back then.
Yeah, it wasn't their game. Curry does it 15 times a game now.
But
though.
Curry wouldn't play like that with us because you were able to have a hand or a forearm on his hip.
You'd be doing that like 35 feet away from the basket though with him?
What I'm saying is you did it to control. You didn't do it to prevent him from getting a shot. You did it to control him, which direction he would go, to try to keep him on one half of the court, to try to cut down the court to make it harder for them to score. If you can send him on one side, you cut down the court, you know which side's a strong side, which side's a weak side. You're able to take away lanes, and now everybody behind you knows where he's at, where he's going. You're keeping him on one side, most likely his weak hand, or to whichever direction you want him to go, or send him away from their strength, or send him away from the direction of the play he's trying to run. It's just part of a scheme. But he's too good of a player to consistently take shots from that deep with somebody on his hip. He would have found different ways to make it happen. I'm not saying that he wouldn't have been effective. He would have been effective, but he wouldn't have been effective like that. You know what I'm saying? He would have been effective of maybe coming off screens or getting the ball and you know, give and go, like different ways he would have did it. But that's why guys weren't really shooting it from that far, because it wasn't considered a good shot.
That's what I mean by changing the game. Like he made that a not bad really, shot.
That's what I'm saying, but that's not changing the game. That's the rules allows them to do that, because no one can force you into that predicament where they have their hand checking you or their form guarding you. So he didn't come in and make them change that. They changed that because of the way we were playing, and they didn't like it.
Yeah.
So now all they're doing is just taking advantage of what the rules are now. He can't defend me, he can't play me tight. So now I'm gonna spread this offense. I'm gonna make him come out here and guard me, and I'm gonna shoot this deep shot.
Mm-hmm.
Now his ability to do it is what makes him special. But I don't think it's necessarily changing the game, because you don't see every team that's having everybody do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because some guys will just get benched for it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it's just him and Dame and Trae Young. Like, I see
Trae Young.
I see consistently doing it. I see other guys shooting them. But I'm talking about if I was coming in and I felt like, hey, if it's three guys in the league that I got to guard, I better have some toes and heels at half court if I'm guarding them. It'll be those three guys.
Paul George pulls up for some long ones too.
Not like them guys.
It's not.
I'm just saying, like those three guys. I'm thinking in my mind that I got to guard them off the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who's segue back to Sixers. Maxey's on his way there too. He pulls up deep. He doesn't do it 15 times a game.
Yeah, but the difference is when he pulls up deep and he missed. You ever seen the body language of Joel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big difference between the.
You know what the body language is saying? You're not Steph. That body language.
I'm just saying.
It's like
that's the difference.
All right, man.
Steph missed those shots. They be like, shoot it again. He'll get the next one.
Yeah. But that's a problem. A lot of guys in their heads are like, I can do that too. I can shoot that. I can make that consistently.
Yeah, they do it twice. Their coach tells them never do that again, and that's it.
Yeah.
The end of that.